Today we're going to talk about love and saying I love you for the first time. Let me tell you about a time that I said I love you by mistake. This is when you say I love you by mistake because it just flies out of your mouth. Not because you're thinking I love this person. It's because the word became the phrase.
Casual.
Exactly. So I was in the car with this guy named Bob. Bob was a football player. I think he was a football player. And I think this was in high school, my senior year, okay? And we had only been going out for maybe a month or two. He was a nice guy and, you know, a good-looking guy, and we were having fun, but it was not at all a serious relationship.
Yeah.
And I remember he was cracking me up in the car. He was driving and I was next to him, and I remember he was making me laugh so hard, and I must have had a stressed out day, and that laughter was such a relief. I was so appreciative of him making me laugh and him being so funny. And I remember I looked at him and I go, I love you. Like, you know, like you'd say that to your friend,
Yeah.
like, oh, I just love you, right?
Yeah.
You're just so funny.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, his eyes opened wide, and he was smiling like she loves me. And all of a sudden I realized, no, wait a minute, that's not what I meant. That is not what I meant. I meant, and then I was like, well, what did I mean? I said I love you. I meant like, I love you as in you're funny. Can you imagine that? Instead of saying you're funny, you say I love you. But that's what it becomes. I love you becomes you're funny. Or I love you because, oh, you look pretty today. And so that was a time when I realized the power of the words that I had, and that was my first time ever saying it to a guy.
No.
And it's not what I wanted it, you know, to be. But then after that, guess what? That mistake taught me a lesson. Be careful not to let words fly out of your mouth in the heat of the moment or in the emotional, you know, rising of the moment. And I never said I love you again until your father. I love you is becoming so misused. It's losing its power.
That's like one of the scariest things I think about being in love or saying I love you to someone is the rejection is so much more powerful.
Yeah. And that was one of the things when your dad and I were dating, and we didn't date long before things got serious. I remember one time we were walking along, we were talking about relationships, and I remember he said to me that night, he said, well, when I say I love you, it's going to mean something. He said, because I love you, he said, means to me that I want to marry you. So he told me that up front. And he said, if I ever say I love you, you can be sure that I want to marry you is going to come right after I love you. And sure enough, about 2 weeks later, we were taking a walk one night, and he said, Lauren, and I did not see this coming. He said, Lauren, I love you, and will you marry me? But I got the words, I love you, and will you marry me all at once.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a law. I'm not saying that if you say I love you, you have to marry a person. But I found out from your dad what I love you meant to him. For other people, saying I love you means I'm feeling something for you, and that's all it means.
Yeah.
So I think you have to ask people out there, and we would love you guys to comment below, what does I love you mean to you? So for you, if you go to say I love you, what will it mean?
I think I'm hoping I can reserve it for like my husband. Like I hope that like when I do feel like I love someone and I say it to them that it's going to be the person I am with the rest of my life. So I think for me it's kind of like a loyalty. It's like a confirmation of how
I like that.
Like I feel about someone.
A loyalty and a confirmation of your feelings. One of the verses that I love the most, it says, by this we know love, because he laid down his life for us. By this we know love, because he did this. So in other words, God, even God himself, never just said to us, I love you, I love you, and then left us in our, you know, in our troubles and left us in our sorrow and left. No, he said, I love you, and here's how you're going to know I love you. This is what I'm going to do. By this you know that Lauren loves you, because she lays down. If you love somebody, you'll lay down your anger when you're in a fight with them. They're getting you mad, but you say to yourself, I love them. I don't want to hurt them. I'm going to lay my anger down. You have it. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to say to somebody I'm angry, but lay it down and say, you know what, I'm just not going to vent the whole anger. That's how you know love.
I think that social media has created like an abuse of the word I love you or love, because people say it almost to get attention.
Yes.
Or it's like kind of just too fast because it just looks good.
Yeah.
But I've seen like couples on Facebook and social media just in general where like they've only dated like a couple weeks or something and they'll be like, oh, I love you, and like all these like hearts and just all
And
this.
you're thinking, I didn't know this was that deep.
Yeah.
Not that it's for us to know what's
No.
going on in someone's life. I think you, on the other hand, are going to go the opposite extreme of, I don't know how you'll ever know that you love someone.
I mean, I'm assuming the guy's gonna say it first, so then I'm probably gonna be like thinking. I think I'm gonna have like a reaction like, oh no, now what do I say?
Yes, because for example, I don't know whether this was on The Bachelor or some show we had watched where I think it was a reality show, and the guy said to the girl, "I love you," for the first time, and she said, "Thank you."
Over right then and there.
Guess what? If that ever happened to you, where you said that to somebody, it shouldn't really matter. I mean, yes, it matters what they say back, but on the other hand, it shouldn't matter. If you really love someone, love isn't, you don't say I love you because you expect to get something back. Isn't that just the opposite? Love doesn't expect anything other than I want the best for you.
Yeah.
And if you really felt love for somebody, now not just felt it, but if you felt love and decided to love and wanted nothing but love for this person, and you said I love you, and they didn't say I love you back, you should still hold your head up. If you've ever said I love you to somebody and they didn't love you back, you loved and you expressed love, and there's nothing greater than that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are in a quandary as to when to say it. Is it because I'm feeling it? Is it because we've been out 3 months and we must be at that point now? If somebody says I love you, what do you want that to mean to you?
Well, it would mean it's like a big deal to me. So like I don't want someone taking it lightly and just being like casual, like, oh, I love you. I want someone to like really mean it when they say it, and I want it to be like a commitment, and I want it to be something that's grown and it's really treasured. I don't want it to be just some lighthearted thing and like break up a month later or a week later. Love wouldn't be that.
The relationship has to be tested to a certain point. I would not say I love you to somebody if you haven't had your first fight, nor if you haven't had your 10th fight, maybe even your 100th fight. You really need to have gone through fights, work them out,
Stages.
and have the person that you supposedly love see that you are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's love.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. Also, you want to know when you have driven this person crazy for a week straight or a month straight. It's like
I can give you some tips on that.
she can help you. It's like having PMS for an entire month, and does somebody love you after that? That would be a really...
I don't think even a female would love you after that. No one. Your dog would be like walking.
If your relationship has been tested and you've been able to still stay together, you want
withstand
to,
the hardships.
That's it. To withstand the problems, the hardships, and you're still together, then when you say I love you, I think that will mean something, right?
Yes.
Because that person says, wow, they didn't leave me when I was just a bear to live with for a month. They didn't leave me when I lost my job. You know, the guy's thinking, wow, she doesn't love me just for my money, just because I take her out. The girl's saying, wow, you didn't leave me when I was in the hospital for weeks. And you came and visited constantly, and you were concerned about me and helped nurse me back to health. Those are the things that show love. And then if somebody says, I love you after that, I can imagine that means a lot.
So stop in the name of love before you break our hearts.
That's right. Stop saying it if you're not really understanding the price of love, the cost,
The commitment.
the commitment. Because I love you is powerful. And when you say it, not because you just feel it, but because you're going to live it, that is going to change someone's life, and yours too.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.